today is your update on the economy. I believe we are on day 55 of the Iran war.
The war with Iran causing a lot of economic uncertainty right now.
We have breaking news right now, serious economic concern for the United States as a new jobs report that just came out shows August we only gained 22,000 jobs.
U.S. inflation may now reach 4% according to the OECD. U.S. inflation may now reach 4% according to the OECD. So let me tell you what this means as a former Wall Street trader and econ major from NYU. For context, the inflation in 2025 was 2.6%, still higher than the Fed's goal, which is 2%, but much less than what is predicted currently for this year. So if this predicted figure were to come true, that means we're paying more for gas, food, and many other things. With that, higher inflation would lead to lower GDP growth. And this shouldn't really shock anyone because this is very typical to happen during war times. All to say, it's looking pretty uncertain, and now is the year to be cautious. If you don't have any savings, save up. If you can put them in a high-yield savings account, even better. Because if inflation goes up, that means that interest rates are likely to go up, and with that, your high-yield savings account will pay you more. Secondly, just be more cautious with lavish spending or overspending. Lower growth could lead to more job cuts, more than there already are. So all in all, proceed with caution.
The war with Iran causing a lot of economic uncertainty right now, and you've got a lot of questions. Hopefully, we've got the answers. Our Elizabeth Schulze is back with us now with some of your top searches on the economy. All right, Elizabeth, first up, will gas prices keep going up?
You know, Kira, this is an answer I actually am happy to answer today, at least when you look at the move in the oil market, down 12% on a day, which means that we are likely to see gas prices go down instead of up at this point. So the national average, about $4.05. Patrick DeHaan over at Gas Buddy expects we will get below that $4 a gallon on average level in the next couple days. By Memorial Day, we could be talking about $3.65, Kira. By July 4th, $3.50. So this move in oil, if it is sustained, and that's a big if, a lot of questions, we've seen a lot of volatility, but at this point we are looking at lower gas prices because of the news today on the Strait of Hormuz reopening versus higher gas prices, Kira.
All right, next, are we going into a recession?
Okay, so this one is also pretty simple, just if you look at what the definition of a recession is. It's no, we are not right now, just based on where we stand in the overall economy. Economic growth is not super strong, but it's also not negative, and 2 quarters of negative growth, sounds a little bit wonky, but basically 2 3-month periods of economic negative growth is what is a recession, and that is not where we are right now. We had 0.5% growth, and we're at about 1.5% estimated this quarter. So no recession, but it is understandable that a lot of people feel like the economy is not that good. The job market has been a little bit shaky. Of course, we've also been seeing very persistently high prices too.
All right, here's another big one. Does the stock market reflect the economy?
The answer here is no. The stock market and the economy are not the same thing. It's a very different measure when you're talking about success and what is ultimately going up or down. The stock market is at a record high. We have seen this big moves in stocks just in the past couple of days here because of this optimism over the Iran war ending, but that doesn't necessarily translate into more money in people's pockets, Kira. We know that just over half of Americans are invested in the stock market. So there are a lot of people, when the market goes up, they don't really feel it. And really what is a better measure of the economy is the job market, if you have a job or not, what your paycheck looks like, and what you're paying for day-to-day costs. So those services, your rent, your childcare, your groceries, that really determines the overall strength of the economy much more than the overall stock market does.
Well, that leads to the final question. Why are groceries so expensive right now?
And who doesn't relate to this when you go to the store and you see how could this be that this is where the prices are right now? A lot of what households are still dealing with is sticker shock from the past few years. I was pulling the numbers before this year to try to make sure we could give the biggest kind of picture. And when you look at grocery prices since the start of the pandemic, so since 2020, they are up 30%. When you see that kind of a move in grocery prices overall, even if, on a monthly basis, they're not up that much, that is just a price level that is very hard to get over for a lot of people. You remember what you were paying a couple years ago and you say, why is this so much more now? Tariffs have been a factor here. The supply chain issues have been a factor there. Food prices do generally fluctuate and go up and down because of things like the weather. But the overall kind of big spike that we saw, that has not been undone. And that is why a lot of people are still feeling a lot of frustration over groceries, especially a lot of those day-to-day essential staples that you buy at the grocery store.
What's your personal recession indicator?
The reason why personal recession indicators feel so much more accurate than what headlines are saying is because a lot of the economy and how we feel about the economy is very much based on vibes. Data on the economy, like GDP or unemployment or recession risks or anything like that, is not measuring your life by any stretch of the imagination. It's often measuring an aggregate of over 300 million people and also corporations and other things. And so even if the government will say something like inflation is 3.2%, that doesn't mean your inflation is 3.2%. That doesn't mean you're not struggling. And I think we can see this across the app and on social media. A lot of people are struggling financially. I talk about this a lot in my content, and that explains why there's such a discrepancy between what headlines are saying and what the reality feels like for a lot of people. On top of this, a lot of economic indicators are lagging indicators, which means they are backward looking by design. They measure what already happened, often with weeks or months of delay. So what we are currently experiencing right now might not show up in the data for a long time. We also as humans tend to weight what is happening around us, what is tangible, what we can see and experience and touch and feel a lot more than just like arbitrary numbers or headlines. So if everybody around you is struggling to find a job or struggling to afford groceries, or you yourself are experiencing those things, you're going to weight those things a lot more highly in your mind when thinking about the economy. Also, as I've talked about on my channel, we are in a K-shaped or E-shaped economy where there's so much stratification between the top 10, 20% of consumers and the rest of consumers. And so you see a headline like the economy is doing fine, that fine is doing a lot of work. GDP can still grow while people are feeling extremely squeezed because it's offset by the gains at the top. So then the averages look okay. And a big problem that can come with this is that typically these big indicators will often be what drives policy. So if the numbers are looking kind of quote unquote okay, but the average person is feeling really badly about their financial situation, that might not translate to actionable policy to actually help people with their finances, with affordability, etc.
Joining the growing chorus of leading economists that are screaming, like literally, that the United States is heading towards a major debt crisis. And he, along with others, is predicting this is going to happen in 2026. And he's talking about all the red flags that everybody is ignoring, way beyond increased prices and joblessness and no new job growth and so forth. He says it's all tied to the record-breaking price of gold right now. It's like at $4,000 an ounce. That central banks right now are accumulating so much gold because central banks are worried about two things: the value of the US dollar plummeting, they can see it happening, as well as the geopolitical tensions that are growing all since Donald Trump took office. And for some reason, central banks accumulate gold to hedge their bets because of what they see is happening. He says that Wall Street is behaving the same way they did before the 2008 subprime mortgage collapse, when so many Americans lost so much. Some lost everything. Back in 2008, Wall Street and those who owned stocks were exuberant. They were celebrating how many millionaires. They were all becoming millionaires with the manipulated stock markets. And it's happening again now. And back then they ignored all the red flags and did not adjust accordingly. And he sees that happening right now the same. He said that this economic collapse that he and others are predicting is going to feel the 2008 subprime mortgage collapse is going to feel like Sunday school compared to what's going to happen next. Now, I know a lot of things are looking bad. Prices are skyrocketing. Over 1 million people have lost their jobs since Trump took office.
The U.S. economy is in big trouble. Let's talk about bankruptcies. Wow. In the first half of 2026, the first quarter, January, February, March 2026, bankruptcies skyrocketed 14%. 131,573 personal bankruptcies, commercial bankruptcies, 8,436. Chapter 7 bankruptcy rose 17%. Chapter 13 bankruptcy went up 8%. And the worst of all, ready for this? Chapter Small business bankruptcies went up 67%. If you didn't know, small business is 98% of business in the USA. It's not large businesses. Small business makes up 98% of the US economy. We are in an economic crisis. The economy is collapsing every single day. This is 100% self-inflicted, and it's done by one man. Now, this all started to happen before the Iran war. This is going to be catastrophic for the USA. If you found this post sad but informative, please like, comment, follow, and share.
Last thing, should the American people be ready for more increased prices, especially at the gas tank, considering that this does not look like it's going to resolve very quickly as far as the Strait of Hormuz?
Yes, gas prices are higher. Yes, energy prices are higher. First of all, they're higher from a baseline where we've never had the terrible energy prices that we had of the last administration. We know the American people are hurting. The energy prices, while painful, are not going to be around for.
Good morning. Today is April 17th, 2026, and it is currently 9:43 a.m. The U.S. has been quietly draining its emergency oil reserves because of the conflict involving Iran. Now, let's talk about what's really going on and what you should be doing right now. So, here's the situation. On April 9th, the Department of Energy released another emergency release of oil, up to 30 million barrels from the West Hackberry Strategic Petroleum Reserve Site. But that wasn't the beginning. That was part of a much larger move. Since then, the U.S. has committed to releasing about 172 million barrels total from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And this is all happening because global oil supply has been shaken by tensions involving Iran. On top of that, countries working with the International Energy Agency released about 400 million barrels collectively to try to stabilize things. Now, here's the part that people aren't really talking about. On April 15th, most of these deliveries were already wrapping up because we're moving through these reserves fast. That brings the US down to about 243 million barrels left, which is only about 34% full. That is the lowest we've ever seen since the early 1980s. So yeah, gas prices may feel like they're stabilizing right now, but that's only because we're tapping into emergency reserves. We're buying time, not fixing the problem. And I want to be very clear, this is not about fear. This is about being aware early so that you can move smart instead of reacting late. I'm going to tell you about the worst case scenarios and what you should be doing. So first, the gas prices are going to fast. If tensions escalate or supply routes are disrupted, prices could jump up quickly. Here's what you should do. Keep your gas tank at half, if not full, all of the time. Start planning routes or combining errands in order to save fuel. If possible, set aside a small gas buffer for your budget each week. Number 2, there are going to be temporary shortages in certain areas. Not everywhere, but some regions may see long lines or limited supply. In that scenario, do not wait until your tank is empty. Fill up now. If you haven't already, learn where multiple gas stations are in your area. And avoid panic buying. That actually makes the shortage a lot worse. Number 3, groceries and essentials are going to get more expensive. This means that transportation costs may go up, which means food and everyday items will follow. Here's what you should do. Start building a small practical home buffer like rice, pasta, oats, canned goods, vegetables, beans, protein, frozen foods if you have the space, cooking basics such as oil, flour, and seasoning, and hygiene items such as toilet paper, soap, and toothpaste. Here's a key tip, guys. Don't go out and spend hundreds at once. Just grab 2 or 3 items each grocery trip and build slowly. Number 4, the price of living will continue to rise. You may notice a pressure in certain areas, such as rent, utilities, transportation, and food. Here's what you should do in these situations. Revisit your budget now before things get worse. Cut or pause spending on non-essential items and build a small emergency fund of about $20 to $40 at a time, if you're able. Number 5, I would like for people to know that we're going to have less national emergency backups. With the SPR lower, the US has less room to respond if something else happens globally. This doesn't mean collapse, but it does mean faster reactions in prices and markets. Here's what you should do. Stay informed through these sources like the US Department of Energy. Pay attention to trends, not just headlines. Make decisions early instead of waiting for those things to spike. I need you guys to have a simple prep mindset, okay? Think of it like this. You're not prepping for a disaster. You're prepping for inconvenience getting more expensive. Small steps now equal less stress later. At the end of the day, this isn't about panic, it's about preparation. Because right now, the US is buying time. And what you choose to do with that time can either protect you or cost you later on. Don't forget to interact. Please like, comment, and share so that people aren't caught with their pants down when shit hits the wall. Once again, my name is Viola, and I hope you guys have a fabulous day. Please stay awake, aware, and prepared.
Today is your update on the economy. I believe we are on day 55 of the Iran war. We're at about $50 billion in spending. You heard me correctly. That does not include all the bases that were decimated or the embassies. Fourth quarter GDP 2025 was reduced down to less than 1%. In 2024, fourth quarter GDP was 2.4%, and it's going to get worse. Scott Bessent, our Secretary of Treasury, said it was going to be 10%. He also still doesn't understand tariffs. We are in very big trouble in our economy. 58% of companies plan on laying off. Thousands of companies are closing their doors, which means more layoffs and lost revenue. The government is starting to work on their spending. I'm dropping a post about that. Why is that important? Because you pay taxes, and that's where your money goes. Donald Trump wants to double almost what we spend for the military. We are $39 trillion in debt. He also wants $550 million to renovate the executive quarters, in addition to $450 million for the White House. He also wants to build an ark. Why 60% of Americans are one paycheck away from starving or homelessness. Oil is up 100% per gallon. Diesel is almost $7 here in Las Vegas. They're calling this gas inflation, which means food's gonna go up, toiletries, household products, your shoes, your cars, anything. 75% of items go from someplace on a truck to a store. That brings me now to inflation. It went up almost 1% in 30 days. It's the highest we've had since COVID, and it's going to get worse because gas is going to go up, food is going to go up, and everything is going to go up. We are very screwed in this country because we have somebody who's gone bankrupt 6 times running our country, and he hired the most incompetent staff we've ever had in 249 years history. The best thing I can tell you to do is to follow me so I can give you strategies on how to survive this economy. Number 1, track your spending. Number 2, reduce your spending. Number 3, plan your meals. That is a big budget buster. Number 4, put your debt on 0% interest credit cards or a loan right now. Your job is not secure. 58 to 60% of companies plan on laying off this year, and many already have. We are in big trouble. If you found this sad but informative, please like, comment, follow, and share for all things. Chapter 11 bankruptcies are skyrocketing. 2025 had a 10-year high on bankruptcy. Now let's get into first quarter bankruptcies in the USA 2026. A 14% increase overall in bankruptcies so far, first quarter USA 2026. But what's really concerning is Chapter V bankruptcies are up as of February 67%. These include places like Macy's and recently QVC. What is leading to these bankruptcies? Number 1, tariffs. Number 2, people are not spending money because they've lost their job, inflation is up, and consumer confidence is down. Consumer confidence is actually measured. Why? Because it's important. Because consumer confidence says whether you and I are going to spend money. Consumer confidence has been down for 13 straight months. I will let you think about that correlation right there. We are going to see more companies go bankrupt. It's just how it's happening. And also personal bankruptcies are skyrocketing. What that means, of course, is layoffs at companies that go bankrupt. What does that mean personally? It means creditors do not get paid. Speaking of which, if you have lost your job, you've been unemployed for a long time, you can't find a job and you're in debt, go bankrupt. If you have a lot of student loans, if you apply for bankruptcy and add in your student loans right now, you have an 84% chance of wiping out your student loans. And I don't want you to feel bad about it. After all, our president, number 47, has done it 6 times, actually in our Constitution for your protection. Christina, I have a master's degree in business. If you found this post about the economy disturbing yet informative, please like, comment, follow, and share for more.
Good morning and welcome back. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, and it is currently 9:30 a.m. Globally, we have lost approximately 12 to 13 million barrels of oil per day due to this conflict. That is roughly 10 to 12% of the world's total oil supply. And in total, we're looking at 600 to 700 million barrels lost already, with some estimates saying that we could reach 1 billion barrels lost. In addition to this, Trump has extended the ceasefire, but not the conflict. This was done to allow more time for negotiations. However, at the same time, the U.S. naval blockade is still very much active, and military operations have yet to cease. In fact, the U.S. has seized yet another oil tanker capable of carrying approximately 2 million barrels. Its military presence has also expanded, with multiple aircraft carriers deployed. Operations have extended into the Indian Ocean. This is one of the largest U.S. naval buildups in years. Trump is also considering emergency oil moves. He is now considering extending a shipping waiver, and this allows foreign ships to move oil to the U.S. more freely. This matters because it is a direct response to fuel pressure. It shows that the U.S. is still trying to stabilize supply domestically. However, his rhetoric online has gotten a lot more aggressive. Trump made a very intense statement suggesting no deal with Iran unless extreme military action happens. Meanwhile, Iran has responded by saying that the U.S. actions, such as the ship seizures and blockade, are acts of war. The blockade is still not fully working. Some Iranian tankers are still getting through undetected. About 9 million barrels have bypassed restrictions. So even with heavy military control, oil flow is still inconsistent and unstable. Gas prices may appear to be calmer in the short term, but that stability is being supported by emergency measures and coordinated international interventions. And markets are reacting quickly to developments rather than operating under steady conditions. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you engage with it. Once again, my name is Viola. I will do my best to keep you guys updated on this crisis as it progresses, and I hope that you guys have a fabulous day.
Today is April 23rd, 2026. This is your update on the economy. Going into week 8 of the Iran war, approximately 55 days at the minimum of $1 billion a day. So the cost is anywhere from 55 billion all the way up to 110 billion with no end in sight. The average of gas prices is $4.16 a gallon. Diesel is even more. New weekly unemployment for the week ending 4/18 is 214,000 new people unemployed for that week. We have 7,314,000 people unemployed and only 6.540 million jobs have negative jobs available for people unemployed. DHS is still in a shutdown, and they say they have one more paycheck for TSA until the budget is agreed upon by Congress. TSA could be going, without a paycheck. Fuel is skyrocketing as a majority of it comes from the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, thousands of flights have been canceled, consolidated due to the high cost of jet fuel. Summer plans be disrupted. Inflation went up almost 1% in March 2026, mostly due to gas prices. Expect inflation to go up dramatically in the next couple months due to gas prices and the prices of diesel. Everything that you buy goes literally on a truck to go to a store, from your fruits, your vegetables, your diapers, your toiletries, your household items, your clothing, your furniture, your auto parts. Those all go on a vehicle to a store. Get ready to pay more. Tariff refunds have begun for corporations. not for consumers. It is estimated that you paid an extra $1,200 to $1,700 last year per household due to tariffs. It's estimated that you'll pay an additional $1,000 more per household in 2026. This is your update on the economy. If you found this post informative, please like, comment, follow, and share for more things. Economic news.
Many of us here in the US are waking up this morning to our investments and stocks plummeting. I know I made the mistake of checking my account. Trump's tariffs have had a huge impact on the economy and will continue to do so. You know it's a bad sign when his former vice president, Mike Pence, is speaking out directly against these tariffs and warning that the average American will be losing $3,500 this year as a result of the tariffs. Do you know how many people voted for this administration without even understanding what a tariff is? But do you know who did explain it and did warn over and over? Kamala Harris. She spoke out directly against what is happening now. And yet, here we are.
So Trump came out a few hours ago and said that Americans are going to suffer financially for at least 2 years while his tariff strategy takes place. Okay, which means millions of people are about to lose their jobs, they're about to lose their homes, they're going to lose everything they have, kids are going to be food insecure. We are looking at an economic tsunami. Okay, there's only one of two scenarios in which we can turn this around. One is Trump is lying about the tariffs. If he's lying and he backs down the tariffs, that could help. Okay, he lies every day, so that wouldn't be surprising. But if he's not lying and he keeps these tariffs in place, the only thing we can do is march in the streets and fight back. Call your local representatives. Do whatever you can. Show up at town halls, okay, and complain before he takes every single thing you have. Don't think he'll lose a minute of sleep over it. He's a sociopath. He doesn't feel your pain. He doesn't care about you. Believe me. Even if you're MAGA, he doesn't care about you. I know you think he does, but he doesn't. It's time now, guys, to take control. This is the only chance we're going to have, and we're running out of time. So Trump came out a few hours ago and said that Americans are going to suffer financially for at least 2 years while his tariff.
Well, it's finally here. Trump's tariffs go into effect tomorrow. 25% on Canada, 25% on Mexico. So all goods coming into the U.S. from either country will increase in price to us by 25%. So for all the people who voted in this administration to lower the cost of groceries, you're going to be in for a rude awakening tomorrow when you're paying a lot more. Your bag of avocados that used to cost $8 is now $10. Your shampoo and conditioner set that was $20, now it's $25. This is going to significantly impact lower and middle class America. And this is just the beginning on these tariffs. As Trump has said, it may get a lot worse before it gets better. His own words. Regretting that vote yet?
You heard it right. Be on the lookout for them $1,400 stimmies. We know that early in December, the IRS announced that they were going to be giving $1,400 to over 1 million taxpayers. Go and take a look at your 2021 tax return. If you did not file for the recovery rebate, then you probably going to get you a $1,400 stimulus check. If you still have your 2021 tax return, go and look at the recovery rebate line. If it has 0, then you don't have to do anything because the IRS is automatically going to mail you a check. They're going to mail it to the latest mailing address that they have or the latest checking account that they have. So these checks are supposed to be mailed out anytime now, and everybody should get one by the end of this month. So can you please share this updated video so everybody who is eligible or who think they may be can know when to receive their check? If you can remember, if you received 3 stimulus checks back in 2021, then you probably won't be eligible to get this $1,400. I've given you all the information that I can about the $1,400 stimulus checks. Remember, I'm just a messenger. I'm not a taxologist. Y'all share the video so everybody who feels that they are eligible for this check can know.
$18 trillion has been generated in tariff revenue, according to our president. Let me show you the clip.
Without the November 5th election, you would have had a president that didn't have the courage to use tariffs the way they should be used. And Because of the tariffs, we've taken in more than think of this, $18 trillion. There's never been anything like it.
I stand corrected. More than $18 trillion in tariff revenue, meaning that all of America's financial problems are now going to be solved. $18 trillion is enough to give every American about $60,000 in cash. It is enough to completely solve all of our health insurance problems. It is more than enough to deal with whatever our expenses are for the Department of Defense. We can solve every single infrastructure issue. And when it comes to higher education, not a problem. Now, that $18 trillion is very important. Remember that America's total economic output for this year is estimated to be about $30 trillion. So the tariff revenue has accounted for 60% of that, or it's going to be 60%.
Today's job report revealed that the economy gained 178,000 jobs in March 2026. While this number appears positive on first look, it really masks the volatility occurring in the labor market. And the underlying data show that we have some ongoing weakness that are signs of trouble. Let's take a look under the hood and see what's going on. Essentially, for the past 12 months, the labor market has been at a stall speed, with only 260,000 jobs added since March of 2025, which is about 22,000 jobs a month. This is a 0.2% growth over the entire year, meaning that our labor market has been frozen since March of 2025. Many are attributing the stall in labor market growth to the Liberation Day tariff policies that were announced in April 2025. While the unemployment rate went down a point of a percentage point in March of 2026 to land at 4.3%, this is not attributed to more people finding opportunities. It can actually be attributed to almost 400,000 people leaving the workforce, many leaving because there aren't any opportunities. In fact, the average length of unemployment in March 2026 was just over 25 weeks, or about 6 months. This data point underscores the fact that people are having a hard time finding opportunities in Trump's economy. But unemployment is not affecting everyone equally. Particularly younger workers, workers with college degrees, and Black and Asian workers are facing higher inequality when it comes to finding opportunities. The unemployment rate for Black workers is almost twice the rate for white workers. Additionally, during Trump's second term, younger workers from ages 16 to 24 years old have had higher and sharper increases and changes to their unemployment rate compared to older workers. The lack of job market growth in the past year means that those who are maybe looking for their first job or recently lost a job are having a much harder time finding employment. Okay, but what does this all mean in actuality? We recently passed the year anniversary of Liberation Day, and since then, workers are experiencing less opportunities, higher costs, and more economic uncertainty. This is Trump's economy.
The United States is about to break and nobody is willing to talk about it. If we as a country don't make a change here, we are cooked. The media doesn't give it the attention it deserves. Politicians won't say it out loud, but our country, it's drowning in over $36 trillion in debt. And here's the terrifying part. We're now spending more than $1 trillion a year just to pay the interest. Not the debt itself, just the interest. It takes my breath away whenever I talk about it. Imagine you maxed out your credit card that you have, then took out more just to cover your monthly payments. That's what we're doing as a government and as a country. And when the bill comes due, it's you who's going to pay the price. Higher taxes, slash services, or worse, God forbid, a financial collapse that would make 2008 look like a hiccup. If we don't change course here, folks, if we don't stop printing money, overspending, and kicking this can down the road, your future, our future, won't be stable jobs.
We have breaking news right now. Serious economic concern for the United States as a new jobs report that just came out shows August, we only gained 22,000 jobs, well below the expectations of over 70,000 jobs. And when you look at the revised numbers for June and July, the United States economy lost over 20,000 jobs. Alarm bells are officially going off across the economic sector this morning. And this is the first job report since Donald Trump fired the former director of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because he felt as though her job report was improper or inaccurate. His job report shows that the United States economy and the job market is seriously slowing down. I know a lot of people have been trying to get jobs and have been telling me everywhere in every sector that it's almost impossible to get jobs. And we're now seeing the impacts. Only 22,000 new jobs added in August and a negative 21,000 jobs added in June and July. Serious concern right now. Spread the word and follow along for all the news you need to know about. More to come very soon. I'll stay tuned.